Hi everyone, it's Anne here from Anne Makes. Welcome into my studio. Thank you so very much for stopping by. If you are new here, please subscribe. I would love to have you as a subscriber, and you can do so by clicking on the subscribe button below or on the Anne Makes in the corner of the screen there. And don't forget to click on the bell so you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. So today I have the beginning of a new series, Craft Room Organization, DIY Hacks and Ideas, long title there. So I am doing this because a lot of people know I am kind of very organized, and I believe in that. So I've been asked, oh, could you show how you organize your stuff? So in part one, and I'm reading notes because I actually prepared, I made notes of how I'm going to do this. Part one, I wanted to talk to you about the general setup of my space. And this is just something that I believe in. It's my mantra, okay? So my mantra is a place for everything and everything in its place, okay? And this is not me. I did not coin that phrase. It's just something that's been said many, many times. I just really like it. And my other one is like with like. And the other thing that I find works really, really well is that I consider the space. And besides organizing my stuff by putting like with like, I think of how much room I have and where I would like to place my things. I think of it as like how I work, how I play, how I work. I take the same approach to the kitchen. And again, that gets messed up by my boys. But anyway, this room, at least my studio, is off. It is like they don't mess with it. So I find that fitting the tools and products in the space that I have makes the task of organizing and putting things away easier. Challenging in a way, very challenging sometimes, but at least if I have a place for everything and a specific place for everything, and I put like with like, it just makes my task of finding things easier. And yes, I do believe in labeling. I do label a lot. So, plus, because I am limited by the size of the space that I have to work in, and that is going to be everybody. Doesn't matter how small or big your space is where you want to be creative, you are going to be limited by the size of that space. It's that simple. So what I do is that I have an off-site, I call it my off-site storage. I know it sounds really fancy and it sounds like there's a whole other building and I actually have an assistant that goes there. I don't. My off-site storage is my basement. Okay? That's all it is. So I use what I call the MIS system. That's another very fancy term, and it is an original thing to me. So MIS means more in storage. And I just use that label on my products. Any supplies that are consumable. So let's say I go to one of the dollar stores that you see my mini hauls on, and there's a great opportunity to stock up on lots of products in a certain line, lots of glitter, lots of this, and I know that I really like a certain color, so I buy 3 bottles, let's say, of silver glitter. Let's say, we'll just take that for example. What I will do is that I will keep 1 bottle here in this room in the glitter storage area, and on the bottle I will use a permanent marker. I will write MIS. And on the other 2 bottles, I will just put a plus sign. Now, I will take those 2 extra bottles and I will go store them in my basement. And I will store them in an area designated for my craft supplies, and that is specific to glitters. So there's like basically, that could be a cardboard box on a shelf in an extra room or in a closet or a cupboard or whatever I have. And it's just my box, my extra drawer, my extra cabinet of glitters, my extra glitters. They're there, okay? And sometimes in the same drawer, in the same cupboard, I'll have different things because they're small, but it's labeled. It'll be labeled. There's extras. It's gonna be extra craft supplies, and you know, I have it labeled. Ann's extra stuff, or Ann's extra craft supplies, wherever it is in the basement. And you know, for me, I know I need to, well, this is where I put the glitters, this is where I put the inks, this is where I put the glues, whatever. So that's how I proceed. So I'm able to keep what I need in my workspace for when I'm working. So that is my huge tip for you, is if you don't have enough room in the space that you have, if you can find an alternative space to store your extra inventory, that is very helpful. But you got to keep track of your stuff. So that's why I use the MIS system, which is more in storage, so that I know that when I'm using a bottle of glue, bottle of glitter, I'm using some stickers, if I'm getting to the end of using up whatever product it is and I really like it, and I see that I wrote MIS, then I know, oh, I still have some, so I can go to my basement and I can go dig it out of the storage, so I can make more projects with the same stuff. So when I purchase items, if I know there's something I'm going to likely use a lot of, like it's something that I would consider evergreen, like glue, for example, or heart stickers, let's say. Well, to save on space, I might just keep 1 sheet of heart stickers up here, but the rest of the package will be downstairs. There'll be a plus sign on the package in my storage in the basement where it says Ann's Craft Supplies stickers. And in my craft room or my studio here, my office, whatever I call it that day, my heart stickers will be, that sheet of heart stickers will have the little word on it that says MIS, and I will store my heart stickers in the heart section of my sticker binder, one of my sticker binders, so I can find it again. Okay, so that is what I believe in. So I can give you a quick tour of this room and show you how I organize, where I store my tools and supplies that I use in this room by the way I work. But first, before I show you that, I also want to show you an important part of my organization system, and it's really the newer part that I have now. I have used this system before, but I outgrew it and I did not maintain it. So I did spend the last 2 months really updating it and working on it, and I still have work to do. So, but mind you, I have too much stuff. I'll admit it, I do have too much stuff, but I work in this industry. It's not just a hobby for me. It's what I do. So, over here, I am standing behind my desk. I'm going to show you under my desk a little area that I have. Right here on this shelf, I have some binders. And in these these are really important to me, because as you can see, this one says catalog colors, this one says catalog tools, and this one's not labeled because it's the fabric. but it's actually the catalog of my stamps. All my stamps, my rubber mounted stamps, my cling stamps, my clear stamps. It's a catalog of all of them. So that is my reference. And up here I also have this pack of paint swatches for my watercolors and some of my acrylics. I'm not done swatching them, but I have that here. So this is part of my system. Okay. So let's begin our tour with the area that you see me very often in, which is my paper crafting area. Right now as I'm facing the camera is on my desk, which is what I call Command Central. Behind me is what I refer to as my paper crafting area. And I have cupboards that reach up quite high. The ceiling here is quite high, and I've taken advantage of that height space to use every inch for storage. So yes, I do need a stepladder to reach up there, but that's okay. So this is where I store my papers, my rolls of vinyl, my die cutting machines, my electronic die cutting machines, my other die cutting machines, my printer, and all my files and papers are in this area. I do have some paints here just for decorative purposes and because I wanted to use up the space. So the counter here is where the machines are, my die cutting machines are. Below the counter is where I keep dies, steel rule dies, and I also keep stencils in this area. Around the corner I have a sewing machine cabinet. It's a very compact cabinet, but it holds a lot. So my sewing stuff is there, and just around the corner is where my stamp and paper punch storage is. Next to the sewing area, I have my drawing desk. Next to that, in the center of the room as you enter it, it's a little hard to see there, you can see I have a sitting area, and I take advantage sometimes of the view outside when it's a nice day. Now we're facing the other side of my room where I have an island for working on by myself or with friends. And as you can see, I've left it as it was. I didn't tidy up especially, so you could see what it's like to have a working room. And yes, there's a tripod there for when I do overshots of what I'm working on. And behind there, on this side of the room, is where I do most of my messier work, when I'm working with paints, adhesives, and anything that may require cleanup. And I have all my paintbrushes stored with the paintbrushes, and I have all my paints in this area. I have my acrylic paints separated from my watercolor paints and oil paints. I do have some oil paints as well. I also have some carts here on the side. I have 2 carts. One holds most of my mediums and other supplies that I use for mixed media. And in this caddy, I have supplies divided by specific companies or brands that I work with. As I mentioned earlier, I store my paints in this area, and I even use the storage that is in between the cabinets that are here under the counter. In that section, I work with what I consider heavy-duty tools, which consist of working with hammers, saws, if there's any drilling to take place or sanding. I also have a small toaster oven here in which I use that for clay baking and plastic shrinking. So basically anything that has to do with cutting, sanding, pounding is done here, and the majority of the tools I need are here hanging on the pegboard, and the rest of them are below the cabinet, below the counter in the cabinet. So as you can see, this was just a glimpse of the overall organization system that I use in my studio or craft room or office. And I like to have specific areas for specific tasks, and depending on if the work is going to be messy and whatnot, I like to keep the tools and the supplies I'm most likely to use in that one area. That concludes part 1 of craft room organization DIY hacks and ideas. I hope that you found this inspiring and that you will come back and watch part 2, in which I will share with you my cataloging system, where I keep track of my inventory basically, and I know which supplies I have. So come back to see part 2 if you're interested in seeing that, and there will be more to follow after that. I will try to go into as much detail as possible. And thank you so very much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, stay crafty. Bye.